Everyone, Kathy the Vegan Prepper here, and I got a present. Let's talk about it. Vegan Prepper. Vegan Prepper. Garden Seeds sent me their latest seed collection. It's the Ultimate Medicinal Herb Collection. I'm very grateful. Thank you, Survival Garden Seeds. And so we're going to talk about this. Basically, I am planning on this video, even if you have no interest whatsoever in gardening or anything like that, I will be discussing the uses potentially of the plants that are in this collection, so you should be able to get something out of it. Again, even if you're not interested in planting whatsoever. But I will go ahead and quickly get a little commercial out of the way, right? Because they sent it to me, and so I'm going to share it with you, and it's only right that I should share the product. So there is now a 10% off discount for this particular pack. If you use the link in the description below, this pack you can grab for 10% off, along with the original packs that they used to offer with the 10% off. They're still offering it. The 30, 50, and 100 pack of survival garden seed, like vegetable seeds that they offer on the website, you will be able to get 10% off of those as well if you use my link down below to go to the site to do that. Hopefully I did that well, and let's go ahead and get into the actual medicinal plant part of it, which I am most excited about. So like I said, I have not looked at these. I don't have any idea what's in here, so we're just going to sort of open it and it'll be raw and real and just kind of in real time. And you know, we're going to be here a while, point blank. Like, we're just going to, like, let's just get that out of the way. And in the beginning of the video, this is going to take a while. But I don't have any mid-roll ads in my videos, so feel free to get yourself into a task, get yourself elbow deep in some dishwater or whatever, and you don't have to worry about having to stop to skip ads while we're here. Let's just go ahead and talk about this. So here I am opening it up for the first time. I'm excited. The one thing I would like to say is I'm noticing a difference right away, that the first pack I was sent, it was the 30 pack of survival vegetable seeds. They came in a Mylar bag, but this one did not. You can see the packets through the plastic a little bit. I don't know if they've changed the packaging on every one of their packs, or if it's just this one in particular, they're not packaging in Mylar. So what was awesome about the Mylar packaging, and hopefully they still have it for some of the packs, is that those seed packs inside the Mylar bag were going to be good for anywhere from 8 to 10 years. And so that is definitely appealing for anybody who's wanting to do some long-term seed storage. It's just like already ready for you to do. So that's one of the great things I think about survival garden seeds. I'm not meaning to keep talking about that like right now. Like, I'm continuing the commercial. It's not meant to be a commercial. It's like, I'm telling you, this is from a prepper standpoint. That's one of the things I really appreciate about that. So I have 4 separate packs here, and let me go ahead and pause, and we're going to do 4 sections for each pack. First up, I just grabbed this one, so there should be 9 herbs in this little section of the video, and I'm going to take the rubber band off here. So first off, we've got lavender. So the Lavandula, and I'm not sure if that's officinalis or if it's a different one. But basically, lavender is a great one to grow. It's a wonderful companion plant, I know, in the garden. You know, just by itself, it helps keep away a lot of pests. The scent is repellent to many pests. I was reading once that a great way to protect a crop of onions, for instance, is to plant a ton of lavender right in front of your onions, and it keeps away pests of onions specifically, apparently. So that's really great. The wonderful thing too about lavender is personally, I have found it to be repellent to mosquitoes. And also medicinally, obviously lavender is very famous for relaxing and making you calm and feel happy, because it does have that effect. But one of the great things too that's not commonly known about lavender is it also kind of helps some digestive upset and tummy issues and stuff. So anybody who deals with like digestion or any kind of digestive issue specifically related to anxiety, lavender is a great one. Lemon balm is, oh my gosh, lemon balm is like right there. I didn't know. Lemon balm is too. So what a great segue, right? Lemon balm, actually, I should give the disclaimer that none of this is medical advice. This is just like stuff that has been seen, I have observed in my own life, and obviously, you know, do your own research and make your own choices. But I'm going to share what I know about the plants and what I've seen personally. And like I said, sometimes I'll just say, well, I have read this, so I just, you know, take it all with a little bit of a grain of salt and do your own research. And please don't like if there's ever anything truly serious happening in your life and in your health, please don't just try to go to herbs immediately, and get some advice and some help. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Anyway. Okay. So lemon balm is another wonderful herb, famously very calming, very relaxing. This is fantastic for anxiety, but I jokingly, just from my own research and my own reading, I call this in my own practice the college student herb because this is an herb that has been found to have some great effect even in cognitive skills and abilities. So honestly, it's not only for college students, but it also has been shown to help even Alzheimer's patients, just help somehow cognitively as well, digestive issues, anxiety, relaxation, all kinds of stuff. But one of the great things about lemon balm, and one of the reasons I call it the college student herb, is there was some study, and I wish I could find the reference for it, but I had read about a study that was done showing that when people had had lemon balm tea, they were able to recall things better. So I would recommend, and also as an anti-anxiety helper, that's great for college students, right? And because I have a son who actually graduated college last year, and then another son who is possibly starting college next year, if that's the path that he chooses to take. And so this just herb is great. And so it helps relieve stress, but also increases recall of facts. So I would say for every college student out there, anybody doing any kind of studying or academic work at all, whether you're a college student or not, drink lemon balm tea while you study. And that's like kind of my recommendation. Okay, here we have Lovage. I know literally nothing about Lovage, but it's there. Cool. Marigold. Cracker Jack. So this is a straight up marigold. I know that this has it has like companion planting potential. Like it helps with keeping pests away in the garden, but I honestly am not 100% aware of any kind of medicinal property of this particular kind of marigold. Not to say that there isn't. Again, I'm just sharing my knowledge such as it is, but I'm not aware of anything with marigold, but cool. Marshmallow. Oh my gosh, marshmallow. This is an amazing one. So this is another great one specifically for like digestive things as well. So this is an herb that is very famously mucilaginous. It has that that effect that when water hits it, it can get slimy. So mucilaginous is kind of the nicer term for saying slimy. But that, if you can imagine, that sliminess can kind of coat your throat too. So it's great for like sore throats and coughing and things like that, but also digestive stuff. It kind of soothes and smooths inflamed tissues, and that also works on your skin too. Like as a poultice or whatever. I think most people don't use marshmallow as a poultice, but it's a potential. One of the things with marshmallow that's very interesting as an herb is it's one of the few herbs that is better cold brewed. So you don't necessarily want to put a lot of heat on it, but if you use it and you want to drink it and get, you know, with your throat or with your digestive upset, like healing ulcers and things like that, like when you're in the recovery stage of those things, marshmallow is something that you can put into just a cold cup of water, and then you have the benefits there, and it's just great. So marshmallow is a wonderful one to have. Oh my gosh, mugwort. I have just begun learning about mugwort. I don't know much about it, but I do know that there are some, I think mugwort is like, it has to do with, just from what I've known before, it's more of a like a magical herb, you know? And so it has to do with dreams and things like that. But I'm not, as far as what people say, but I'm not sure what the practical, you know, real world uses are for mugwort. But it's pretty cool that it's there. And yeah, I don't know, it's pretty cool. So I'm sure there are medicinal uses, but yeah. Mullein. Okay. Mullein is amazing, and that's funny that the image is of the flowers but not of the leaves. So now I'm trying to think, are the flowers used? And so for me, I'm sure the flowers are used, and like I said, I don't know everything, but for me personally, I've mostly heard of the leaves, and you use the leaves. This is very exciting. I'm really excited about this one. You use the leaves, and they are an incredible help for any kind of coughing. any kind of respiratory issues. There has even been like in kind of, again, being smart, please. Let's be intelligent. But there have been some, and I don't mean that as a condescending way. It's just like, I get worried sometimes that people are like, oh, I don't need my medication, I'll just use this. And it's like, if you need a medication, please don't get rid of your medication just because you heard that herbs can help with certain things. But anyway, like in survival type situations where people have been able to use mullein to even calm down like asthma attacks and things like that. So this is a great thing a great plant to know. Look this one up so that you know what it looks like with its big leaves, like its big, giant, kind of hairy leaves. And so look it up and then you can know it when you're out and about. The thing, like I mentioned, it has these little hairy leaves. So one other thing to really be careful about with mullein is when you're making it into a tea to help with any kind of coughing or whatever, don't just use like a stainless steel strainer or whatever. You have to filter it like through a coffee filter, or be using a tea bag that's just it's a paper tea bag that doesn't let anything out at all. Because if you get any of those little hairs broken off of the leaf into your tea, that can become more irritating to your throat and to all of your stuff, and so it completely negates the effects. And so it's very important to make sure that if you're making it into a tea, that you have proper filtration. But one of my favorite uses for this, and honestly, when I had, the big thing that everybody was, has been freaking out about for a few years, a few times, and ever since too, I have the leaves because I've foraged them responsibly. When we've gone up north and gone places, I've been able to take the leaves and dry them. And I like to burn them and breathe the smoke, and breathing the smoke also relieves my coughing. And I know that sounds crazy, and obviously you don't want to breathe smoke too much, but it relieves coughs and it calms stuff down. And it was one of I wouldn't say it was a lifesaver, because I don't believe that my life was ever in threat when I was going through that, but it was a comfort to me to be able to relieve the stupid cough that just would not go away, and just to breathe the mullein smoke, and I was able to actually get rid of my cough. So I do really appreciate mullein. Mullein's one of my favorite plants. So definitely look that one up. Peppermint, classic, energizing. It gives you like a little bit of pep in your step, right? Peppermint. And so it's a fantastic herb, also very famously digestive aid, carminative, meaning it's anti-gas. So it's great for specifically like gas and things like that. Oh, I forgot to mention lavender is incredible for gas. It's also particularly wonderful for menstrual cramps, and relieving some like stomach cramping, whether it is menstrual cramps or even like diarrhea type cramps. Lavender is great for that too. Sorry, like butted back in. But yeah, peppermint is just a great overall thing to have on hand, and it's just yummy. And I don't know, I would say who doesn't like peppermint, but I'm sure somebody out there doesn't like it, and it's okay. You don't have to like it. Okay. Common plantain. Plantain, like I feel like some light should be shining down from heaven on this one. So this is an incredible wound healer. Like, I feel like I can't share stories about plantain without this video getting completely demonetized and blacklisted and like put away forever. But plantain is freakishly good, especially for any kind of bug bite, any kind of like cut, wound at all. Plantain is incredible. You have to be, I'm not sure if plantain is so much of a concern, but it's definitely do your research before you try to use plantain to heal any kind of deep wounds. Most herbal plants that are vulnerary, meaning they are wound healers, you don't want to use them on deep cuts or like surgical incision, anything like that. Definitely not until at least the stitches are out, because you want wounds to be able to naturally heal from the inside out. If you start to apply some of the really powerful herbal vulneraries out there, like common plantain, calendula, comfrey, things like that, you end up risking the wound itself closing on the outside before the inside has fully healed. And part of the healing process is pushing out like bacteria and things that don't belong. So you can end up with a pretty serious issue if you start to use these too soon on cuts that are too deep. But for just like random scrapes, or, even like a little cut that you cut yourself with a knife in the kitchen or whatever, and it's not a deep thing, these are fantastic for stuff like that. And so just to exercise some caution, because some of these, they're much more powerful than people believe. Plantain is like such a universal, incredible plant. yeah, but it's most famous as a wound healer, but it's also extremely nutritious and wonderful to eat. And yeah, I wish it grew around here. I'm a little jealous for everybody who has plantain just like everywhere, just like a weed. We went to visit Adam's mom over the summer. We drove across the country to drive my oldest son to Washington, D.C., where he lives now. And then after we dropped him off, we drove over to Vermont to visit Adam's mom. And there was just plantain everywhere, just like it wasn't even a big deal. It's just like literally everywhere. And I was so jealous. But anyway, that's the first pack. Second pack. We have these going on. So, lemon mint. Now, I don't know any particular specific medicinal uses for this plant. It's probably just another lovely type of mint. I could be wrong. And like, I'm looking at the pictures, and the pictures look like something that I recognize, and I'm wondering if I don't know the name that they're saying. But I am assuming this is just like another type of mint, and so I'm sure it's delicious, and it probably still does a lot of the things that peppermint does. But yeah, I just don't know very much about that. Anise is another one I don't know too much about, and so I'm going to go ahead and leave that one as well, because I'm pretty sure this is not the plant that makes anise seed, like the one that you have like in a chai or whatever, which is very good for its antiviral, antibacterial, that particular one, antiviral, antibacterial, and really good for digestive stuff. So chai, I don't know if you guys realize that chai is medicine. Like if you have a chai with like cinnamon sticks and anise seed and ginger, and like that is a straight up medicinal brew right there. That's great for all kinds of things. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is not the same plant, and I don't really know anything about this, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave that aside. OMG, OSH. Okay, we have holy basil. This is incredible. I mean, anti-anxiety. This is one of the most powerful anti-anxiety. I believe it's adaptogen. So it like helps your body deal with stress. And I'm pretty sure that this will help balance cortisol levels. Again, this is fuzzy. I'm fuzzy on it a little bit, so do your own research. But this is an incredible plant to have just to keep your body free of stress and to help balance imbalances in that area, any kind of physical imbalance that is causing stress. Holy basil is an incredible thing to have. I'm very excited about this one. Okay. Bergamot or Bergamot. I don't even remember. You can make fun of me for how I pronounce things in the comments. Feel free. So this one, I'm pretty sure, I don't really know very much about this one either. So I'm just going ahead and not guess. I'm not going to guess. We're just going to go ahead and move on. I do know it has some specific, I have heard and read, and honestly, it was something that I was using in the thing when I had the big thing, that the essential oil of the bergamot plant or bergamot, no idea, it's helpful to lungs. And so I'm not sure if this has the same property, but we're just gonna go, like I said, I'm not guessing. Do your own research on that one. Black cumin. Okay, this is pretty cool. Like, I'm wondering, is it actual cumin? Like, can I use it as cumin spicing? That would be kind of cool if I could grow my own cumin. But basically what I have learned about this, I don't know much about it medicinally, other than I have read in actually Dr. Michael Greger, the How Not to Die. That's my chair, by the way, that sometimes squeaks. How Not to Die, How Not to Diet, and now How Not to Age. He has all those incredible books, incredible compendiums of knowledge. And so in How Not to Diet, he did specifically mention black cumin, and many studies done that seem to suggest that it helps with weight loss. And so yeah, pretty cool, but I don't know anything beyond that. So something to research. Oregano, powerful, antibacterial, antiviral, I believe. Do research. But this is an incredible one. This is one of those ones that's like, it's incredibly powerful against colds and stuff, but most people probably wouldn't want to drink it as a tea. But I know that there are some amazing kind of Greek flavored dishes that would be kind of heavy on the oregano. So it's a way possibly to get large amounts of these culinary herbs that also can help certain issues. If you find recipes that are heavy in those spices, that's another way that you can use these without having to drink it as a tea. So tea is not the only medicinal thing. You can put tons of herbs into your cooking and also have a really powerfully medicinal thing. But like, I just don't know much about oregano beyond, yeah, that it's like kind of antibacterial and stuff. And so I'm not sure that people would put it into salves or not, or what, but yeah, we'll just move on from that. Oh my gosh, calendula. Calendula is my baby, like one of my babies. I love to grow calendula. In fact, I have an entire gallon jar in my apothecary cabinet that is still with the calendula that I harvested like 2 years ago, I want to say. I still have it. Like I still use it, and it's still fresh and beautiful. It's in a dark cabinet. We have very dry weather here. I think that it helps for me that my stuff will last longer than a lot of other people's stuff lasts because of how dry it is here. But also when I pick my calendula, I dry the heads whole. Like the flowers, I don't pick them apart. They just get dried whole. So a lot of people would think that you're using the petals, and that's not true. So let me like back up and talk about what this is good for. This is one of the most powerful and beautiful vulneraries that I know of, and the one that I personally use the most often because it's the one that I have had the most access to and the one I've grown. And then it's like every time I grow it too, I give over a gallon of it to my friend who makes soap. She gets a ton of it every time I grow too. And then a lot of times I get soap in return. So that's wonderful. But this thing is fantastic. It is vulnerary. It helps heal wounds, and it's extremely healing. It's also powerfully antifungal, specifically this one. But it's antibacterial as well, but it's kind of famous as an antifungal. So it's great for any kind of fungal issue like athlete's foot or even candida. One of my other friends, she had a horrible yeast infection that she hadn't been able to get rid of from doctors. And so she had the antifungal remedies, and she had all of that stuff from the doctors, and she was at her wit's end because she had this horrible, really painful infection that just would not go away. And so she came to me and was like, do you have anything or any idea? And so I put together a formulation for her of calendula, rosemary, and thyme to drink as a tea, which she said was not very good. And I told her it doesn't sound like it would be very good, but those are the most kind of powerfully antifungal and antibacterial, like everything herbs that I could think of. And to have her drink a quart of that every day, but also I made her a powder, like a powdered version of that with like a little bit of cornstarch and stuff. And so it was a powder for her private area to help keep her dry, but also to put some of these properties to work like at the site. So we were dealing with it internally and externally, and she ended up getting relief finally once we went to the herbal thing. So again, this is just a story, but you know, it's, you know, plants have a wonderful effect. And so calendula is a wonderful thing. And I have a salve of calendula that we basically use, that I have all of the time. At all times we have calendula salve in the house, and we use it for almost every wound that you can think of. We essentially use it like Neosporin. What most people would use Neosporin, we have the calendula salve. And so, but again, this is a really powerful healer. It will heal cuts so fast. So be very careful not to put it on anything that is too deep. So in case you've been wondering what the heck is going on here, I had a little biopsy on this spot. It's just routine. I have a routine dermatologist appointment for this spot. I go every year to get this checked out. And then this time the dermatologist basically said there's still nothing to concern him there, but he wanted to just stop kicking the can down the road, just biopsy it and see, is there anything there? So we were not expecting there to be anything, but you know, we'll see. And I have a little stitch right here, and I waited for a few days before I started putting calendula on here. And so it's only one little stitch of one little thing. So I feel okay putting it on. And I could see that stuff was already sealing. And so I'm just a day or two away from taking the stitch out anyway, but I'm healing that with the calendula salve, and then my cuts and all of that. But again, not to use it on very large wounds. Like I had a surgery last year. I had surgery. I had my gallbladder removed, and I did not touch any of those incisions with calendula for quite a while, because you need to let stuff heal from the inside out. So anyway, it's powerful. One thing that is not often known though, I'm trying to keep because these are the ones I use all the time. So these are the ones I know the most about. The whole head again, because the powerful wound healing property of calendula is in the head of the flower. So what you do is you go and you pick them off early in the morning. I just sort of with my thumbnail, that's how I harvest it and pick it off. And after you have harvested all your calendula early in the morning, your hands will be super sticky with resin. And that lets you know that it's really good calendula, because a lot of the vulnerary properties of calendula are in that resin. And so if you pick off the petals, you might have some good effect, but you're going to lose a lot of fat, which is one of the reasons why it's so particularly good in oil and salve form, because oil in particular, there's this, like, you hear all of these different herbal preparations, right? Teas, salves, medicinal oils, and like tinctures, which is like an alcohol extraction. And so there's definitely reasons behind why certain plants seem to be made a certain way all of the time. And one of the reasons calendula is almost always made into a salve is because oil in particular is wonderful with dissolving those resins and pulling those out of the plant, so that you have something that has all of those resins in it that you can use, and then that helps heal you and helps take care of you or whatever. But it's also wonderful, again, as a tea. You can get some of those, again, antifungal properties, and you can heal yourself from the inside out. So while oil is much better at getting those resins than water is, you can still get some of the effect as a tea, especially for any kind of digestive issues where you need to literally heal the digestive tract. So like a few years ago, I got food poisoning, which I do 0 out of 10 do not recommend. And it was terrible. But after I was done with the whole thing, I began using calendula tea to help just like heal my digestive tract. Like I just felt abused inside, you know, like raw and terrible. And so calendula was one of the things that I was putting in the tea that helped me heal from that. So I'm gonna stop talking about this because obviously I can go on. So I'm gonna stop talking about that and move on to catnip. Catnip is amazing. Actually, it's so cute. They have a picture of a cat here, and guaranteed that if you plant catnip in your yard and you start getting a big catnip and you have neighborhood cats, the cats will be coming to lay down in your catnip plant. It's just going to happen. You're going to go outside one day and your catnip plant is going to be all flat in the middle, and you're going to be like, what is going on? And then you're going to remember, oh, a cat was here, because they will come to your catnip. But this can also potentially be like if you live in an area where you grow and cats are just like murder on your garden, it's potentially a way to protect your other plants. If you can plant catnip in another area of your yard, cats may be more likely to leave the rest of your plants alone if they have a catnip there. So that's just like a practical advice. But herbally, catnip is also incredibly wonderful for humans. Again, it's a very calming, it's also very gentle. It's calming and gentle. This is a great plant for children. So there's a famous combination of catnip, lemon balm, and chamomile in equal parts, and you put them into a tea for children, and it helps them calm down and it helps them relax, and it's great to get them ready to sleep. But it's also great for any kind of extreme hyperactivity. Like, it can just sort of help kind of reset their systems and calm them down. So it's a wonderful thing to have on hand. But one thing that's not often known about catnip is it's also great for the respiratory system. It's great for like sinus issues and things like that. So it's wonderful as a help for any kind of head cold, and it's not usually thought of as being for that, but it's a great thing for that. And so yeah, it's a great kind of all-around plant. I'm trying to think of, there's one other thing I was thinking about for catnip, but it just went in my brain because I realized I forgot to mention that lemon balm is very powerfully antiviral, because it is. That's another reason that it's great. It's great for like crap. See, this is my brain. I'm not in front of all my books. I get, is it fair? I get psoriasis and shingles confused all the time. I can't remember which one of those is caused by a virus. I think it's shingles. So lemon balm is another potential wonderful thing to have, to take internally, to help potentially with shingles and like cold sores even, and stuff like if you have viral issues going on. It's not like going to necessarily knock it out immediately. It's not going to be a dramatic change like when you take ginger for a tummy issue and you're just like, wow, I feel almost immediately better. It's not like that, but over time it can help as an antiviral thing. And so catnip is just another great thing for humans. I wish I could remember the thing I was going to say, but moving on. Oh my gosh, cayenne peppers. This one excites me. So I love cayenne peppers. Culinarily, like in a culinary sense, I love cayenne. We used to have a giant cayenne pepper bush, and I got so much cayenne off of it. So this is very exciting. If you can get one going and you can keep it going, you're going to have more cayenne than you know what to do with. This is fantastic though for pain. It's an incredible pain reliever for like sore muscles and sore joints, arthritis, the properties that it has. And so I make a cayenne salve. Actually, my grandma, my grandma, she's almost 82, and she suffers with knee pain, and she's like, the salve that I make out of the cayenne is like literally the only thing that she wants to put on herself. And I try to keep her very well supplied. I've always got like tins of the salve in my apothecary for her, so that when she runs out, I give her another one. And so she rubs it on and gets some relief. She does it on her neck as well, just pain in general. And so you infuse a medicinal oil with cayenne, whether you're using cayenne pepper or like chili flakes or whatever. Usually chili flakes are also cayenne. And so just look up recipes. If you look up a cayenne salve, you can find that. But this is very exciting to grow some cayenne. Again, pain relief mainly. One thing, of course, be very careful with when you use that salve is to wash your hands extremely well after you use it, because it's still cayenne. So I think that there are some people who even just apply it with gloves, but I don't use gloves. But anyway, yeah, moving on. It's getting long, but I guess I warned you, we discussed it, so I'm not gonna apologize. Okay, chamomile, German chamomile. Fantastic. I mentioned it as a combination with catnip. It's a wonderful, gentle herb for most children. This is a great herb for children. Lemon balm is too. And so it's just wonderful. It helps with so much calming, getting you ready to sleep. It's a nervine, so it's another one that helps with anxiety. It's actually kind of amazing to me how many plants help with anxiety. It's almost like plants just help with anxiety. So this is a fantastic thing. I wonder if that's another reason why people are so anxious in this world, is so many of us are so disconnected from nature and disconnected from plants, like so cut off from our natural habitat, that like anxiety is just like a natural response, right? So anyway, sorry, that's a whole philosophical conversation for another time, but chamomile is fantastic. It's like sweet. This is one of those ones, actually catnip is as well. Keep in mind, these are two plants. Most of the time with herbal teas, you can steep them for however long you want and there's no issue. But chamomile and catnip and yarrow, so far in my experience, if they get steeped for too long, they get so bitter. So this is like maybe 5 minutes, maybe. And same thing like with the other ones. I think with yarrow, you can go a little longer, but if you brew yarrow for like 45 or 50 minutes, you're going to create like almost something completely undrinkable. So just keep in mind, this is one of the ones that you want to brew a little less time. So if you have other teas that you want to brew, or other plants to brew that you require a little more time, what you can do is just put calendula or chamomile in like at the end and kind of then strain it. So it's a little bit more fussy, but anyway, that's just sort of little tip. But yeah, very great. One of the surprising things about chamomile though is because it's so soothing, it's soothing to the like the nervous system and all of that. It's also soothing for skin. My godson, poor little thing, when he was a baby, he had a horrible diaper rash. Like it was so bad, and nothing that his mom did helped. And she's an amazing woman. She's a nurse. She's an RN. She like knows all the things, cortisone cream and all this stuff, and nothing was helping his rash. And so it's kind of like with my other friend with her yeast infection. So she came to me and she was like, Kathy, do you have like a plant thing or something to do? And so I was like, let me go do some research. I did some research, and I honestly cannot remember what the thing I read that made me think I'm going to use chamomile. And so instead of a calendula salve, which is my go-to for wounds, specifically for a rash, I decided to use chamomile. And I infused a medicinal oil with chamomile, turned it into a little salve, and gave it to her for the diaper rash. And she started using it on him, and he cleared him up immediately. Like almost, she said it was insane how quickly he cleared up. And then every now and then it would kind of come back, and then she'd just use it again and it would just clear right up. And so that salve is a formulation that I have now, and I call it Felix's salve after my godson, mi ahijado. I just love him so much. And so he is the one who made me formulate that salve, but it's a great anti-rash thing, I think, which I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, but in my experience, I have seen chamomile do some great things for rashes. Chervil, Chervil. Yeah, feel free to make fun of me in the comments. I don't know. I know nothing. I think it's like a culinary herb, right? So that's funny. It's like it's a medicinal herb, but there's some culinary herbs in here, I think. But honestly, there's not much difference. A lot of the culinary herbs that we use are very medicinal. So I don't know anything about that, so I'll move on. Fennel. The only thing that I know about fennel that comes to mind is digestive issues. That's the only thing I know. Otherwise, for the most part, I see it more as a culinary type herb, but yeah, great. Good times. Awesome. Do research, I guess. Like I said, I don't know anything. I don't know everything. So if you know things about herbs that I'm like, I have no idea, and I put that aside, feel free to put that in the comments. I feel like that would be great. Echinacea. So now I'm like wondering, is it angustifolia or is it purpurea? It's not telling us which one it is. It doesn't matter too much, the differences. So that's kind of one thing. If I could critique one thing, I would like to know which one, like with the lavender. Again, is it, yeah, officinalis? Is it angustifolia? Is it, what is it? I want to know. So to put that like here, which one it is, it kind of matters with medicinal herbs. And so Echinacea is great, you know, great immune booster. It's incredibly anti-infectious. So this is, again, one of those places where we have to be smart. But it is known and what it was used for by the Native Americans. So like now it's been used all over the place as just like a cold helper. And I guess it can help with colds. If you start taking it immediately, it can shorten the duration of cold or whatever. But apparently the Native Americans, when they were using it, the tribes that did use it, they used it for very serious things. They used it for like sepsis and like snake bites. And so this is something that's like survival medicine, that people have used Echinacea, that you put the tincture on a snake bite immediately and you start taking it internally. And so it's kind of, this one's serious, but again, let's try not to be foolish. But again, if you're like out in the desert somewhere and you happen to have Echinacea with you, because like you carry it hiking, like if you're here, like honestly, I don't like hiking without Echinacea, because now that I know about snake bites, yeah, so it's like, it's not gonna hurt. So anyway, obviously call for help if you can, but you know, you can start taking Echinacea right away. But it's kind of considered a very serious internal infection fighter. And so it's not just for colds or whatever. I feel like there are other things that are better used for colds. But yeah, Echinacea is very famous. Yeah. Great plant to have. Feverfew. Okay, Feverfew. I'm pretty sure the only thing that I can think of for Feverfew is headaches. Oh, catnip. I remembered the thing for catnip. You guys, I'm so sorry. Like I said, this is off the fly. Catnip is great for fevers. It is crap. I lost the word. It's the one that makes you sweat. So it's one of the herbs that reduces fever by making you sweat. So catnip is that. And so that's a great gentle fever reducer for children. Again, if you have a very high fever and you're worried about that, you can give them a little bit of catnip without having to worry about side effects. Although obviously, generally speaking, we don't lower fevers because fevers are there to do a job. But, you know, that's information now that you have. So Feverfew, I'm pretty sure it is for fevers. I think it's for headaches though. Like, I don't know very much. Like I said, I shouldn't be guessing. Do your research on Feverfew. Feverfew is just not one that I have used very much. So there's like a lot of plants. So anyway, no clue whatsoever. It's pretty. It's very pretty. So if you know anything about that, definitely let me know down in the comments. Like, I'm definitely going to be I'm going to be doing some research after this. Horehound. That is a name that I recognize, at least. That stalk thing, I have no idea. But again, I have like things floating in my brain, but I'm not going to throw out my guesses. Do some research. Hyssop is another one. I recognize the name. I cannot tell you specifically what the medicinal uses are. So we'll move on from that one as well. But that's also very pretty. Lamb's ear. Gosh, that's so funny. Stachys byzantina. I don't recognize that at all, but I feel like the name, but I feel like I recognize the plant. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to do some research. It's called woolly betony. Okay. Anyway, I'm not gonna throw guesses out on that one. So yeah, sorry. That one was a whole lot of me not knowing. So we're just going to the last pack. All right, the last pack. It's exciting. Purslane. Oh my gosh, I have this freely growing throughout my yard on purpose. I got one purslane plant like 3 or 4 years ago, and I cannot even tell you how excited I got. And I purposefully let it grow and get huge and unruly, unwieldy, and massive, and it was hard to walk through paths and all that stuff. But my hope was that I would seed purslane into my yard with that one plant. It is classified as a weed. It grows a lot of places, but I hadn't seen it in my yard yet. And so I'm not 100% sure on the medicinal properties of purslane. I'm sure that there are some. I would probably have to delve into maybe some traditional, like traditional indigenous medicine from around this area, or ask, you know, some Mexican like abuela and ask her for her expertise and her experience using this plant, because I know that this is a big part of Mexican cuisine. Like a lot of stuff that I have read about this particular plant, there is some dish, and again, like it's floating at the edge of my brain. Verdolagos, something like that. Anyway, sorry, I shouldn't be throwing out my my guesses again. That is specifically made with purslane, and so it's, like I said, I don't know medicinally, but I know that it is a great kind of survival food. It is one of the highest sources, if not the highest plant source of omega-3 that is possible to find. So like I said, I was very excited about that. I wanted to seed in my yard, to have an entire yard full of this amazing green that grows perfectly well during our insanely hot summers here in the Phoenix area, just sort of as a survival food. I'm like letting certain weeds go in my yard, and purslane is one of them. And so it's got almost a salty taste to it. We put it in soups, you stir fry it, put it in soups and stuff. Apparently, and I don't know the specifics yet, apparently it's better to pick it before it flowers, but I have picked it and cooked it after it flowers, and it's still good. But yeah, as far as a survival green, purslane is great, but like I said, I don't know the medicinal properties, so that. Oh my gosh, white sage. White sage is a native California herb with silver leaves. It is often grown to burn as incense. Wow. Okay. This is very cool for many reasons, because this plant is extremely over harvested in the wild. And so it's really important to, if you decide you're going to buy sage sticks in general, like if you want to use it for smudging in your own life, you know, that's fine. It's your life. You do you. And so I will just share the information. Most people know at this point to make sure that it's ethically harvested, either by natives growing the plant or that it was cultivated. You want to look for cultivated white sage to help protect the natural native populations that are ridiculously over harvested, or have been. Because people have been using them for smudging for so much to the detriment of the plant and the detriment of the indigenous people who still use this in their own spiritual practices. And so it's just kind of as a sign of respect, if you also would like to engage in those practices, to make sure that what you're getting is ethically harvested or cultivated, or grow it yourself. So good to know this exists in here. One thing about, I think, smoke cleansing and smudging in general. Smudging is the Native American term, but smoke cleansing is a pretty universal thing. And one of the great things about it that not a lot of people know is that I think possibly even, is it possible? Like has it, this is one of those practices I wonder, has it always been spiritual? I don't know. And I'm definitely not trying to poo-poo anybody's beliefs. I don't know that it's always been a 100% spiritual thing. I often wonder if it started as a practical thing, because smoke repels bugs. And so I have personally, because I grow rosemary, I have bound up and dried up rosemary sticks. And when I've had problems with pests in my yard, I will light it and use it almost like a smudge stick, I guess, and go with a fan outside, and I will fan smoke all the way through my plants as a means of trying to detract or just, get rid of bugs. And it seems to work really well. I will do the same thing here because I have all of my food storage here. Occasionally I will light one of those rosemary bundles that I have made, get smoke, and then just, do smoke with a fan. I'm like doing this motion because it's literally just like a fan I have. And I fan the smoke throughout all of my food storage as a means of keeping bugs out. So that's why I do it. But so it's considered a protective thing to do. But I often wonder, is the protection, was it always 100% spiritual, or did it start off as a practical thing? I don't even know. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on that. But it's very cool that they included this. I don't know that it has a medicinal use, other than I also have heard that burning it can help kill viruses in the air. So anyway, yeah. So, sorry. Okay. Sage Um, my sweet girl is named Sage. I named her because it was a plant name, I will say, but I wanted a name that meant wisdom. It was a very important thing that I named my daughter something. So it was like a sage, right? The wise ones, the elders. I named her really Sage for that concept, not so much the plant. If I had had a boy instead, I would have named him Elder for the same reason. It's like a plant name, but like representing wisdom and stuff, because anybody coming into this world as it is right now is in great need of wisdom. So I love sage. Obviously, sage, my daughter loves the sage in our yard, and she thinks it's so cool that there's a plant that has her same name. So this is fantastic, obviously, as a culinary herb. It is wonderful. I think it is also like antiviral, antibacterial. I'm not 100% sure, but I know sage is very famous as a sore throat helper. It's another one of those ones that you can take as a tea, but doesn't necessarily it's not the most enjoyable thing to have as a tea. Or you can turn it into a gargle. So you can make a salt water gargle, but instead of just salt water, do it as a sage tea. So brew a tea with sage, then add salt and use that as a gargle to help with sore throats. It's incredible for sore throats. One thing about it that is it's potentially an accident or potentially something that you would want to do on purpose, depending on where you are in your life. Sage is a very powerful drying herb. It will dry up breast milk. So like I nursed sage for 3.5 years. And during that entire time, I had virtually no sage in my life because I did not want anything drying me up. But if you have gotten to a place where you're weaning, this is a great herb to have on hand to dry your milk up if that is necessary. Also potentially for, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. But for anybody who has suffered stillbirth or anything like that, horrible thing to have to go through, this is a great plant that can help to dry things up and help that part anyway, at least hopefully not be quite so difficult. So if you just are in a position for whatever reason of needing to no longer nurse or needing to dry up your milk, sage is a great plant that can help with that. I love it too because this is another one that makes it through our summers pretty well. And so I do always have some sage in my garden for those reasons. Also, I have tried to use this to burn. Like I mentioned with my rosemary, the rosemary smells amazing. This smells horrible. It smells nothing like white sage. So just thought I would throw that out there as an FYI. Borage. Okay, this is one, again, I recognize the name. I think I even have borage like in a tea blend somewhere, but I honestly don't know. So I'm not gonna throw out my guesses, but that is also in there. Oh my gosh, the king of all plants, or the queen of all plants, however you want to call it, stinging nettle. Oh my gosh, Urtica dioica. What do you even say about stinging nettle? It is so rich in vitamins and minerals. I honestly, because like the uses for nettles, famously, it's a quote that I've seen. I can't get them. Richo Check in his book Making Plant Medicine, under the uses for nettles, it says uses for nettle, legion. Just like there's so many uses for nettle. I do often wonder if one of the reasons that nettle seems to be useful for like almost everything is because of the fact that it is so ridiculously nourishing. It has so many minerals, so much nutrition that you can have almost any issue. It's going to go into your body to correct nutritional deficiencies, especially like iron and things like that. And you just end up getting better because your body gets nourished. And so I also know that stinging nettle is useful for allergies. It can be helpful for that. But again, I wonder if it's almost a nourishing thing. The plant itself, because it stings, you can have that sting as weirdly enough, as a medicine for joints and arthritic joints and stuff. If you take the plant and you like beat the arthritic joint with it, the stinging will actually relieve pain there. It's very strange, although that's like it's an extreme form of medicine, I will say, but it's potentially helpful. Again, it's like if you hurt yourself or you're hurting or whatever, you're out and you don't have any other options, I mean, it's probably a great thing. But yeah, nettles is one of the things I put in almost all my tea blends, just because it's like, why not, right? Like it's wonderful. So it's an incredible herb. I don't have nearly enough time to go into all of the ways that it's amazing. I've heard incredible testimonials about nettles, literally saving people's lives, just like starting to drink it and correcting nutritional deficiencies and things like that. So nettles is an incredible one to have, but you do definitely to drink as a tea, or if you have access to it fresh, to cook it into your food. I have never personally done this, but I have read and heard and seen in videos that as soon as it gets even slightly cooked, all of the stinging goes away. And so you're perfectly safe to eat it once it's been steamed. But this is not one that you want to eat raw, I believe, unless you are eating the absolute youngest leaves at the very top. But again, I don't actually know any of that. That is stuff I have just read, so please do your research on that. The toothache plant. I would venture to guess it helps toothaches. So I have nothing. I know nothing about this. I've never seen that or heard about it, but that's exciting. I'm going to do some research on that. It's kind of cool. Oh, Valerian. Is that Valerian? Yes, this is like extreme anti-anxiety, basically, because this will like knock you out. I'm pretty sure Valerian, like I keep saying I don't want to throw out my guesses, but I'm pretty sure Valerian is one that people will take even like for insomnia. This is an incredible herb to help truly calm you and help you through some of those things. Those are the only thing I can think of for Valerian. There might be some other uses as well. Oh yeah, this is like flitting from my memory somewhere. Possible ADHD applications. Again, do your research. But I'm feeling like I'm remembering a connection between Valerian and ADHD. So go ahead, do your research. Wormwood. I 100% recognize that. I recognize the plant and the name, but I cannot tell you what it is used for. This is just not one of the ones that I use very often. And oh, yarrow. This is another plant. This is like a hero plant. Powerful plant. This is another one, like they're showing the flowers, which are very cute, but not the leaves. And so the leaves I think are almost the easier thing to identify yarrow with than the flowers. But yeah, you can do your own research and find what yarrow leaves look like. This is a powerful wound healer. Specifically, it's styptic, meaning it stops blood. So it is an herb that has been used in battlefield medicine for a long time. And so you can use it for stopping up bleeding wounds. It's wonderful for that. It's also anti-infectious and really healing and wonderful. This specifically is also great for it. It's kind of like, almost weirdly enough, it seems to do the opposite action inside the body than the outside. I wouldn't call it a blood thinner, but it helps with varicosities and like blood flow. So if you've been having a lot of blood flow issues, weirdly enough, yarrow tea can go in and really help with the flow of blood, and it helps to kind of eliminate like varicose veins and deal with some of the pain. When people get varicose veins that end up starting to be painful, yarrow is a great one to drink as a tea for that. And so again, it's just very commonly as a wound thing, but I think most people don't know that it also has really great effects on the circulatory system. Nettle too. Nettle is great for veins. It's not so much a varicose vein thing, but like the capillaries, and it also really helps with blood flow. Nettle is just wonderful for the blood in your whole body. So anyway, yeah. Every time I do a video like this, I get requests in the comments for book recommendations, and so I wanted to end the video with a few book recommendations for those of you who are looking for some resources to take your studies further. So especially if you are a beginner, but even if you're not a beginner, this is an incredible book. I still reference this book all of the time. Rosemary Glassor's Medicinal Herbs, A Beginner's Guide. This is my go-to every time anybody in my life or online asks me, what do you recommend? What books should I start with, or whatever? This is the one. So she's got a great section covering how to do tinctures and oils and salves and all of that, teas and decoctions and everything, plus some dosage guidelines and stuff. And then she goes into some of the most common herbs that you'll find, like basil, cinnamon, thyme, turmeric, I'm trying to think of other ones, garlic, ginger, you know, like she's got entire little sections of the book devoted to these herbs, and then recipes for each one of those. Some of the most frequently used recipes that I have in our household have come from this book. It's just an incredible resource. And so I highly recommend it. Don't be fooled by the fact that it says a beginner's guide, even if you are a seasoned herbal enthusiast, I guess, you will probably enjoy this book. Also, for kind of a more in-depth Very large book. This is over 400 pages. The Gift of Healing Herbs by Robin Rose Bennett. It's an incredible resource. Many kinds of crazy stories in here. Some of the crazy stories I've heard about plantain that I felt like I couldn't share were in here. Oh yeah, this book has the recipe for the Cayenne salve that I was talking about that my grandma uses. That's the only salve that helps her, or the only thing that seems to help her pain. Is that recipe is from here. And as well as many others that we use. But this book, I don't necessarily use this book for a lot of recipes, although I have gotten some pretty good tips on how to do different kinds of herbal infusions. It's extremely well-rounded here. There's just stories here, and by reading her accounts of the things that she has dealt with in her lifetime of herbal practice, it gives you tidbits that you can then kind of piece together for stuff that you might do in your own life. I've had a lot of success with the research that I've done based in this book. So these are my two top recommendations, just general. And then another recommendation, my number, I don't know, I still like the medicinal herbs one, the Rosemary Gladstar one, even when people are talking about kids, but especially for anybody who's talking about babies or young kids, Naturally Healthy Babies and Children from Aviva Ram. She is a medical doctor who also is very much into herbs. She likes to use herbs before anything else in her practice if possible. But what I also love about this book is she covers things that a lot of other books don't, and I think because of her medical background it ends up being a lot more clinical, a lot, dare I say, a lot more organized. This is definitely not, I mean, it's organized after a fashion, but sometimes if you want to read about, like, say, the liver or whatever, you're going to read like 5 or 6 pages of stories. You're going to get information, but it's not arranged in a clinical sense like it is in, like, say, this book. And so there's definitely a difference. You will find a lot of herbalists tend to ramble. And I don't say that with negativity. I think the rambling is honestly sometimes the most beautiful way to learn, because you pick up tidbits that you would not pick up before. Just listening to somebody talk, you'll glean things. But honestly, of course, there are plenty of times when what you want is information like now. Like if your kid is throwing up and you need, like, I need to know what to do. I don't need to learn, you know, the history of this herb or all these stories or whatever. I need information right now. You need kind of a more clinical book. And so this one is great for me. I also tend to use it even for, like, me and my husband and my older sons. Like I have a 22-year-old son and a 17-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter. So those are the ages that we have around us with my husband and I. And so I use this for complaints for everybody. You just sort of up the dosage, but everything is great in here. I also love that she gives you the signs of when you should be going to the doctor. But this is an invaluable thing to have on hand. I think it's great. She's even got information for, like, dysentery and stuff like, so there's a lot of stuff in here that isn't covered in a lot of other herbal books. It's a fantastic resource. I've taken some of her online courses. She's incredible. So I very heartily recommend that book and her entire website as a resource. This last one is kind of for, like, prepper, survival, emergency, austere, like, field medicine kind of. So this guy is a former Green Beret who trained specifically in austere medicine. So basically he was a battlefield medic, and it was his job to pack his kit, to be able to run out and help people, like, on the battlefield. And so you're not going to have literally everything at your beck and call. And so he has a lot of really great information specifically for, like, prepper survival stuff. So I have to throw this in because of the channel is the prepping channel. But what I also love about this is the fact that he is hugely supportive and of herbal medicine in general, and he recognizes the validity and the strength of it. And I think, unfortunately, we sort of still live in a world where a lot of times women are not taken very seriously. And so I think a lot of times herbalism is not taken seriously. And I do often wonder if part of it is because so much of herbal knowledge has been passed down through the generations by women. Like it's largely been something that women have done over the centuries, at least especially like in European traditions. I don't know so much about indigenous. Maybe it was more both of them in more other cultures. I'm not sure, but I feel like sometimes I wonder if part of the reason that herbalism isn't taken so seriously is because it's been largely women's work for centuries, for a really long time. But you have here a male voice, and not just a male voice, but a former Green Beret. And so sometimes, you know, unfortunately, that kind of detail ends up lending validity to what the guy is saying, even though he's not really saying anything much different from like the other women that are in these books. Although I will say his focus is different because of his experience. I'm not trying to discount his experience, but this is a great one to have on your shelf, especially if you have somebody in your life who thinks that herbal medicine is stupid, or somebody who's resistant. You know, they still need help, and they might be willing to listen better if it comes from a voice like this rather than the other voices, if that makes sense. And so, you know, they still need help, even if they can't listen to people who are not, you know, tough guys or whatever. So anyway, that's my book recommendation list, and I hope that you got something really good out of this video. Remember, this entire pack is 10% off if you use my link down below, and they have a lot of amazing offerings. Please go check out Survival Garden Seeds. They are really a really wonderful company, and I do legitimately love and support them, and I have enjoyed all the seeds that I've ever gotten from them. So go ahead and click on the link and go check them out. And yeah, I guess that's all. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off. Who made it to the end? Let me know in the comments if you made it to the end. I'm very curious who sat through all of that, because you're kind of a hero in my book. Anyway, as always, I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys next time. Bye.